Manx Radio Podcasts, powered by Shaw.
Women Today.
There was one evening I was driving to work and there was diesel on the road. Now, it was raining that day. Diesel plus water equals not good. And basically, I went over the diesel. My car clipped a curb because it was so slippy. My car spun out of control and basically a car went into the side of me, and they were all fine, but I was the one who bore the brunt of the injuries. So yeah, that's what happened really.
And this was on the Isle of Man?
Yes, exactly. It was in Port Erin. So
give us a sort of rough idea of some of the injuries that you've had to deal with.
I got a lung contusion, or a bruised lung, a fractured skull, and I also got a brain shake, which is where you get hit so hard that basically your brain bounces against the side of your skull. And that's what I got. And that's what caused the brain injury.
And I'm assuming you probably don't remember very much this, Katie.
I do not remember it. In fact, I don't remember. My mum was there for 10 weeks. I remember nothing of that.
Obviously, Yvonne, that must have been a terrifying time for you.
It was, but I'm a very practical person, so I kind of switched into practical mode and thought, what needs to be done? And obviously the priority was to get over to Liverpool. Initially, she was taken to the Aintree A&E, and then, as all patients, she would be triaged and then sent to the appropriate hospital, which is right next door, the Walton Centre. And I flew over the following morning and was at her bedside pretty soon after that.
And you've actually been there for quite a long time.
Yes.
You're still spending a lot of time there now, aren't you?
Yes, I've been there almost a year to the day. In 10 days' time, it'll be a year exactly.
We have obviously recently on the show been speaking to Anne, who's a community fundraiser for Walton, and she was telling us about the Home from Home. Is that something you've been able to use?
Absolutely. When I arrived that morning after the accident, I hadn't thought about anything else other than getting to the hospital. And when I arrived, the ward had already organised the bed at the Home from Home for me. And they allow you to stay as long as your patient is critical, which in my case was quite a while. But normally they'll give you 4 days initially. That gives you then thinking time to get sorted, to find something if you have to. But the Home from Home is wonderful. I mean, it's funded by the Walton Centre Charity. They have 8 bedrooms. Some are too big enough for families, and the rest are doubles or twins. And they provide everything: bread, milk, coffee, tea, everything you could hope for when you arrive initially, so that you can just arrive, make yourself comfortable and have a good night's sleep.
And especially, I suppose, because with the situation that you're in, because obviously, Katie, your injuries were really quite extensive, so you would have had presumably very little idea as to how long you would need to be there.
Yes, I did. In fact, I only found out on the last ward I was on. My physio said to me, because I asked her, how long does it take for me to heal? And she said it can take anything from 18 months up to 24 months to recover fully.
It's only recently, really, you've even been able to speak, let alone walk the way you... Because you walked up the stairs today.
Yeah, I did. And, you know, it's hard for me to do stairs. It's not the easiest of things, but I can do them. Whereas at the beginning, I would have been like, oh, no, stairs, I'm going to have to go another way. When my speech came back, it was awful. Honestly, I could not speak properly. But now you wouldn't even know I had a problem. Just if you were just talking to me, you wouldn't know that there was anything wrong with me. So I'm really impressed with the way they've, dealt with me, and the way honestly, they're so supportive. They really are.
And Yvonne, the staff went above and beyond, didn't they, to try and make Katie feel comfortable, even the very early days?
Absolutely. In ICU, where she spent the first 2 weeks and then moved on to high dependency, the staff all have laptops at the bedside, and it's one-to-one. Every day they would ask me what music Katie would like to hear. And at the time I knew, because I'd found her laptop and it was only tunes from the 1975.
Oh.
So we got the staff to put YouTube on, and they played all the 1975 tracks. I wasn't sure which ones Katie liked, so we just played them all the way through, and after several weeks I knew them off by heart, but actually they're quite pleasant.
And was she right to choose 1975, Katie?
She was, absolutely. And it was so funny, because when I actually gained awareness, I was playing these tracks and going, Mother, do you know these? And she was like, do I know these tracks? Do I know them?
when you are in a coma, there is that sort of question as to whether or not you can hear things. Could
Yes.
you hear anything?
No, I could not. The end of June to October, pretty much, my memory is just a blank. But, you know, maybe I could hear something, but I can't remember it. So
Worth a try, though, wasn't
yes,
it?
exactly.
Now, Yvonne, I think it's fair to say, you know, just chatting with Katie here, she's clearly a very bright and positive spirit. You must be so proud of her.
Absolutely. She's got such a positive attitude and she's so determined.
How much time have you been able to be there with her then, Yvonne?
Well, as I said, the first 10 weeks I stayed there solid. Katie was in an induced coma for 9 days, and then she was spent most of her time sleeping, and then gradually there was a little more wakefulness and a lot less sleeping, and in September she was due to go over to the complex rehab unit in the new Sid Watkins building where the Home from Home is housed. Had her nasogastric tube taken out, and suddenly she started to speak, and it was very slow and quiet at first, and then it's gradually, with speech and language therapy, they've worked so hard with her. So I went back to work 4 days a week and spend 3 days a week in Liverpool. So I go over every weekend.
And she's clearly quite a character, is our Katie. And Anne did say that she's had quite an impact on both the staff and other patients over there at Walton.
The people have been absolutely wonderful with her. And of course, the staff in the ICU, they knew Katie, but obviously she'd never seen them because she'd moved on to other wards before she was fully awake. Yeah. So we've been back to see them, and they are just so thrilled to see progress, because often they don't get to follow up on a patient that they've seen in a coma. But because she's been there for such a long time, we go walk about in the hospital.
Yeah, and it's lovely because when we actually go back into ICU and they're like, Katie? Is that you? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. And they're like, you can talk? And I'm like, yeah, in fact, you can't shut me up.
So what does the future hold for you then, Katie? Because as I said, you walked in here, you came up the stairs, you know, you seem to be rehabilitating incredibly well. But how much more time do you think you'll need to spend over at Walton?
I've actually been given a end date for the very beginning of next month, the 8th of July-ish. Provisional, but you never know. So it's just a case of coming back here and continuing with my rehab.
September.
Oh yes, I might be going to uni in September. No, I am definitely going to uni in September, yes.
Where are you going
definitely.
And what are you studying?
I am going to Edge Hill to study drama, because hopefully it will help me on the right path. I mean, I've always been interested in drama, but I would like to study it properly because I love drama.
Well, how supportive have your friends been over all this? Because it must have been quite a big deal for them as well.
They have been lovely. In fact, very recently, one example is I met up with two of my very, very close friends, and they came over, they saw me, and they said, do you know, Katie, I did not think I was going to be able to talk to you again. I thought I'd lost you. That's what they said. And I was so moved because, you know, obviously I think about my family's point of view, and it must have been hard for them. But I didn't think about my friends until that day. And I was like, my goodness, you've been amazing.
The night of the accident, they actually set up a Facebook group so that they could chat and find out and talk to each other about how Katie was doing. And one of them was keeping in touch with me in Liverpool. And so I was keeping them updated as to her progress. And of course, a lot of them were still over at uni. Mm-hmm. They'd have been in their third year at uni, so they were coming to visit at the Walton Centre. Some of them saw her in the coma. Some of them saw her a little later on. And for those people to see the progress, it was just amazing. And they have been very supportive. Wonderful.
And you are over on the island this weekend for a particular reason, aren't you, Katie?
Oh, yes, indeed. My stepfather is doing the Parish Walk, and he is raising funds for a very worthy cause, in my opinion. He's raising funds for the Walton Centre, and I'm there to give him moral support if I can. And also, my mum's sister's husband, Jeff, he's also doing the walk.
It was fairly obvious what we were going to raise funds for. They've given Katie so much, they've supported me and the family so much, and we've had, from such an awful experience, it's been made better by the people in the Walton Centre.
Women Today.
Don't sit in the slow lane. Join the fast lane right now with Shaw's all-new Superfast Plus broadband. Enjoy more bandwidth, amazing speeds and the best value on the island from just £23.95 per month. So don't be left behind. Get a piece of the high-speed action with Superfast Plus broadband from Shaw. For details, visit our stores in Douglas, Ramsey and Port Erin or click shaw.com.
Love being Shaw.
Terms and conditions apply.